Hello again, everyone. I hope that you guys had a wonderful trading week thus far. I hope that you guys followed the rules. I hope that you guys used proper risk management, right? A few of you guys are sending me, your wins, but when I look at, the profit that you're pulling and the size of your account, it doesn't add up. Some of you are getting like 40% in a day. I saw one person that has like 63% with one trade, in profit. Come on, man. You can't do that because not every day is going to be a winning day, right? That's something that you need to understand. Not all of your trades will be winners. So here you guys can see that all of the, liquidity insertions, the engineered liquidity has been injected into the market so far for this week, right? And something that I haven't really talked about, I'm not sure if I have. I don't think I have. But this is something that, you should write down. And it should be obvious, right? This should be pretty obvious, or some of you guys should already know this by now, due to how, we have our system, how we do things here. Any day, the days, whereas we deem as high probability, which are usually days which have, and just because, we say there is high probability, that's all it is, high probability. Something could happen, might, more than likely will happen in this day, that will allow us to, get in sync with price action, right? It's just a probability. Some days nothing will happen, price will just move. Some days price will just completely go in the opposite direction of what you're anticipating to happen. And some days you will expect something to happen. Even some weeks you will expect something to happen and it just will not. Right? That's all normal. Right? We are not fortune tellers here. Not all of us. Right? We are just reading price with the knowledge that we have. That's all. We're trying to anticipate price action, at, some degree. Right? We're using technicals and time. So here you can see Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right? And the high of the week occurred, I believe, for the euro, and I think currently for GBP USD, even though it's currently consolidating it occurred on Wednesday. For euro and for Tuesday, I believe it was for GBP USD. The low of the week for the dollar index was Wednesday, right, which was yesterday, which is why I chose this day due to the fact that, usually after we have, and this usually happens, right, whenever you have a higher time frame, such as a weekly sequential SMT, which was prior to CPI, then the expansion will usually come the day after, which is why we waited for today to see that price actually drop, right? This morning is when we actually got some volatility, right? Which is something that is, not always going to happen, right? I believe that happens like less than 40% of the times. Like usually the volatility insertion usually occurs on the day on which we have CPI. But, it delayed and it happened today, which is, something that we expected. Days which have high impact news events, right, they can be deemed as, I'm just going to use a term, for, everyone's sake, so you don't have too much stuff in your minds. A kill zone for sequential SMT, right? Do you understand? So the session which you have that news coming out, and, this could even be for, news for the Japanese, yen. I believe that's what it is. It could be for cable, it could be for the Aussie, it could be for gold, right? And for gold, of course, you're going to use the news for the Aussie, right? Due to the fact that they're closely correlated. And, the Australian economy highly, depends on gold. Anyways, so depending on the time, the quarter, whereas you have this type of news event, that's when you should expect, sequential SMT to form. That's when you should expect a major high to form, right? That's where you should expect a short-term high or a long-term high, right? And for example, the last quarter of this year, I believe, we have US elections. So we should expect, a tremendous amount of volatility then, right? It's just an example, right? And if, that quarter delays, it should be in the next one. Just as how we saw what happened this week, what happened yesterday and today, right? Yesterday, CPIs, the data was released yesterday, but the movement was delayed until today. The day or the quarter which followed, whereas we had scheduled news events to be released. Here, looking at the index futures triad, right, you can see that, I believe while we were here, we wanted to see sequential SMT. If we were going to see price pullback in the range, we did not see that, right? And, the weird thing about it, or, it's not weird. It would be weird to, some of you guys, but, I'll just say strange thing about it is that, we have the dollar index, going up. We have the euro dropping while we have the index futures triads just expanding, right? Also, and I'm not going to show that right now. If you guys want to see that, you can check it, right? I don't want to make the videos too long. I don't want to be talking about things that, make no sense. I just want to get straight to the point. The interest rate triads, right? They're moving the total opposite direction of the index futures triad, right? Which is, not something that you want to see, whenever we have symmetrical price action. Something to note, right, is that, and this is something that you're going to realize, the index futures triads, sometimes they like to be independent. So what does that mean? There are times when, they will just completely just do whatever they want to do, right? But if there's any asset that you can count on, what would it be? Of course, it's the Forex market. The Forex market, it's more organic, I would say, than the index futures, right? These markets are more manipulated, right? Because this right here that you're seeing, right? If you guys remember, right, whenever we have clean price action, what's usually there? It's usually that we have the index future triad just moving in tandem with the Great British Pound and the Euro, and the Great British Pound is expanding while the Euro is expanding, and while the dollar index is moving in the opposite direction of the Euro and the Great British Pound, right? Here, that's not the case. So here you can see that I have this high highlighted. This one as well, right? Not really paying much attention to this one, right? So if there's a precision swing point, that occurs after price runs above this high, then it would, be of importance to me, right? I will report it back to you guys, of course. And we will, have a discussion about it. And if this, leg of price action fails to break above this high, there's a precision swing point here, then I would expect some reversal within the range. But for now, that's it. Until we have, these just moving in tandem and just, just stop doing whatever they are doing. Another thing to note is that, in low probability price action, you usually have the US dollar, right, consolidating, while we have, I believe I spoke about this before, while we have the index futures chart expanding, right? So this usually expands while that's why it seems as if, well, that's why this happens, why the index futures charts move more than the Forex market, because the Forex market spends more time in consolidation than this market, right? Just as how the crypto market spends more time in consolidation than the Forex market. Here, right, you can see this setup, the one, I think, the trade that I posted today, and a lot of people saw, right? This is exactly what we were talking about. This was more clear cut than, anything else that we were talking about, and just more obvious. So what did we expect? Sequential SMT to occur here. First of all, this was a two-stage sequential SMT, so this was very, and I'll say that again, this was high probability. Did it move a lot? It moved enough. This is the 4-hour time frame. We're talking about if you got an entry on the 15-minute time frame, even the 5, even the 1-hour time frame. It's easy to pull 3 hours from this. From here, right? This high to this low. Even if you traded the, Great British Pound and you took something off here below this low, before price, retraded here to take you out at your stop loss, you would have gotten something. And, if some of you guys were cheeky, chose to trade because there's one of you that absolutely loves this for some reason. I don't know why. Always send in charts of the dollar index, but, to each their own. Anyways, here at the low, you can see that's sequential SMT right here. So here the dollar failed to break below this low, also failed to close below this close at the same time, which makes this even more high probability. Take note of what I just said. This low, this candle right here, what is that? You already know what it is. It's a precision swing point, right? Precision swing point here, and then here again we have this precision swing point. If you take note of this precision swing point right here, you'll realize that it's below, this candle right here, Tuesday's high. So this was Wednesday's high, right, which was yesterday. Price failed to break above here. This was another sequential SMT, a lower time frame sequential SMT, which would have been, stage 2, which was caused by this precision swing point. So there's 3 stages right here. It would be here, monthly cycle sequential SMT, followed by precision swing point, which led to the weekly cycle sequential SMT. Are you following? So yes, again, this is the 4-hour time frame, but once you see this happen, this candle right here form, right? That's it. And this is exactly what we wanted to see, isn't it? We want to see price either run above this high, and it does not matter what really happens, right? And also always remember that you need to place more importance on the euro and the dollar index, right? Not the Great British Pound, right? It's not of that high importance, right? And usually the euro will deliver more than the Great British Pound, and euro is more sure than the Great British Pound, as you've been seeing happening for the past weeks, right? We had the euro dropping while the dollar index was dropping at the same time. That was low probability, but we still had, well, what did I just say? Let me repeat that. We saw the Great British Pound dropping GU while the US dollar index was dropping. It was low probability, but still we had the euro moving in lockstep with the US dollar, which is what usually happens, right? So these pairs are, just as I've said before, you could relate them to the price action that occurs between the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, right? The Great British Pound, even though, right, there are times when it's tradable. Of course it is. And this is one of the reasons, right? And he never talks about it, Michael, is why he stays with the euro. And even though, the Great British Pound, quote unquote, may offer you more pips or whatever, which doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what offers you more pips or what moves more. Just, how safe will your stop be? That's what matters. How safe will your stop be? Which one is more high probability most of the times, right? You're not dependent on old moves to, just look at old moves. You need to be reading, current price action, sees what happens. It usually happens. Okay. Then, this is going to be a part of my plan. So again, right, this is pretty simple. And if this was for example, this higher time frame sequential SMT occurred between the days of the week, which is the weekly cycle, say for example, occurred, which it did, right? But I'm talking about the higher time frame because this is 3 stages, which we have first higher time frame sequential SMT, followed by a precision swing point, which relates directly to the higher time frame, which you're looking at. So, for example, for the weekly cycle, it would be the 4-hour time frame. Scrap that. For the monthly cycle, it would be for the 4-hour time frame. For the weekly cycle, it would be for the 1-hour time frame. For the daily cycle, it would be the 50-minute time frame. And for the 90-minute cycles, it would be for the 5-minute time frame. Right? So if this was the weekly cycle, how would you write the formula for that 3-stage setup? It would be, first you have to be looking at the 1-hour time frame. You have to have sequence SMT between 2 days of the week. After which you need to have a 1-hour time frame precision swing point, followed by sequential SMT within the daily cycle. Right? Do you understand? And, with just saying that, you should know how to, do most, if not all of them. Here, looking at the Great British Pound, right? We dropped below this low right here. We had a higher time frame fair value gap here, which is what price reacted to before going higher. You can see that we have these highs here, clean highs. You don't have to see that. This price action is closer to this high, way closer to this high than, the Euro's price action is to this high and way closer than the US dollar index's price action is to this low. So we could see another form of cracking correlation occur here, right? Which would occur, allow price to pull back more. And here, right, we're going to look at what happened this week in Bitcoin. So this is the 4-hour time frame, right? Which means that in regards to quarterly theory, we are looking at the monthly cycle, right? Because the monthly cycle goes with the 4-hour time frame. Here, you can see that we failed to break above this high, which was the high of the first quarter. Here, we did break above this high. And then that's what sent price going lower. Something here which is important is, these highs right here, right? So I'll go here to show you that. So here we have a failure swing, which occurred here. Something that we talked about already, but I'm pretty sure that you guys forgot about this. Right, so here we had a failure swing, right, before this up move. Here we had a stop run, right, but pay attention that, this is not, what you really want to see before price drops. First of all, there is no sequential SMT here. right? Here, this barely, went above this high. And we're looking at the bodies right now. Price dropped again. And also, this is more high probability whenever you see something like this happen. Price dropped one more time higher, took this stop run out, and took this failure swing out before just, dropping. So this right here, as I've said before, is another type of cracking correlation, right? SMT stop runs the high, which means that the high that was ran out was SMT before, right? But not, sequential, high time frame sequential. Because, in regards to the Bitcoin, you need the monthly cycle most times for, higher time frame moves. Here we had a correlation, which barely had price do anything. For Ethereum, it dropped a bit, yes, but this was not the real move. So with this one, right, there's a lot of stuff that are packed in that, you need to pay attention to. Here, right, and we're at the same place as we were for almost the last 2 weeks with the dollar index. But as you guys can see, something that we talked about, right, we are within this consolidation here. And while we have the US dollar index consolidating, here we have what? The Nasdaq expanded, moving, right? It's doing something, right? That's what's happening here. So usually this is what, happens. And this is why the FX market tends to consolidate more than the futures market. And whenever you should expect some type of expansion or reversal, right? Whether, just some type of movement, even if there is no sequential SMT here, there's no SMT here, which there was not. There was no SMT right here. But this is very technical, something that is technical, not as easy to read as, the three-stage setup, which is higher time frame sequential SMT, followed by precision swing point, then the lower time frame sequential SMT, right, which works almost flawlessly with FX, right? This is more technical than that, because you are looking at another asset, watching if it's consolidating, then due to the fact that this is happening here, then you should expect expansion here. Usually the dollar index delays its expansions, but the index futures does not. This never consolidates, this consolidates, expands, expand. Whereas here you'll see consolidation, expansion, consolidation, expansion, right? Expansion, consolidation, expansion. And, that's just how it is. And that's why, these markets tend to seem to move more. So here currently, right, this high drawn liquidity, Nasdaq. Here, right, we're waiting for the actual move to happen. This is nothing but stagnation. This is just doing nothing. If we turn off the wicks, right, it will look way worse. It will look like price has literally not moved at all. It's CPI week. And, usually whenever we have CPI, the US dollar usually does what happens here, which is what I expected. I expect the US dollar to just, either run here, then reverse, or just run here, then reverse. But you can see we stuck within this range, which is something that, no one could predict at all, when CPI, will be held within a range. When will they not use the price action, not use the this time window to do nothing. So hopefully you guys learned something from this, right? You can see we have these liquidity pools still intact right here. Sequential S&T here, right? If we have another sequential S&T here within the dollar, then we could expect price to run above this high. Ultimately, for the dollar, you already know what we're looking for. Like overall, they're just like plain right now, right? Price has been really doing nothing. Even, this right here, I think this is nothing, right? Not acceptable price action, right? So I hope that you found something useful from this. We will be back here Sunday, right? Either 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or sometime before, or Monday, depending on the news schedule, right? We'll be watching that to see if, they have any emergency news just coming up. Due to the fact that, all this, I don't know if I should call it propaganda, talking about, stuff similar to COVID, I honestly don't know what's going on. I don't want to get on anyone's wrong side, and I don't really want to talk about, anything that would be deemed as quote unquote, depressive. Why is he talking about these stuff? Talk about price action. No worries. Anyways, we will talk. So that you had, a moment here today. And with that being said, good luck and good trading.